Hey everybody, welcome to podcast number 13. I'm Mike Gardecki along with Steve Bootsma of Vander and Scott Wynn of American Equipment Sales and Leasing. Today we have Jason Cluck with us in his new role of VP of Variable Operations. Welcome aboard, Jason.
Thank you, Mike.
So first question right off the bat, what does VP of Variable Operations cover?
So my role is working with the sales team that National Truck Protection has that visits the dealer groups and the independent dealers. A big part of the reason for me to take this role was a long history with National Truck Protection. And National Truck Protection was sold a couple of years ago to JM&A. It's now the parent company. JM&A is the biggest provider of warranties and back-end product in the car business. But most of the people they had in the field were formerly from the JM&A side or from the car side. And so it's to help understand how the truck dealerships differentiate from the car side.
That's a heck of a transition from those guys going from cars to trucks. Any idea what piqued their interest in jumping over to this side?
They had always, they've been in the warranty business. They also are the parent company of Southeast Toyota, which does the back end and financing for about 70% of the Toyotas sold in the U.S. So just as many people who come to our business from the car side feel it's a similar business, but it's also, very different because we deal with commercial purchases and especially commercial lending. So it was a nice transition for them to get into this side of the business and start teaching us some of the things that the back end is, when you go to a car dealership, how important the back end is. You spend as much time with finance managers as you do with anyone in the dealership. And on our side, the soft products and the finance business had never really been there. So they saw it as an opportunity to expand what they already do well.
So your position, is that a position that was recently created, or did NTP have something like this in the past?
No, it was created.
So how did you end up coming on board with NTP for this?
I played golf with Mike Spielman, who's been with NTP for a long time, and then Kevin Hull, who is the president of NTP now. And one of the things I had talked to them about was I always felt in my previous role with Nacarado and even going back to Aero that I was a believer that the truck dealership should run more similar to a car dealership. I've never worked at a car dealership, but when I started with Nacarado, I watched a bunch of videos and read a couple of books just about how important back-end business is to the sale, especially when it comes to referrals and repeat business. And so one of the first things I'd done whenever I started at Nacarado was I hired a finance manager from a Honda store and then later hired a second finance manager that was with a company called Reynolds and Reynolds, which is similar to Proceed or CDK on the car side. And I wanted all of our retail business, even cash deals, to go through the finance where we had the opportunity to sell warranty to protect our customer and, for opportunities for a little bit of profit for the dealerships. It also significantly increased our profit on the deals. When times were tough, we would still get finance income. Our dealership thrived in the back end for the finance, helped us get more people approved because in 2023, we used 57 different banks where most semi dealerships have 2 or 3 is all that they'll use. But bringing over that car mentality where the salespeople would sell the truck and then the finance managers would get the deal completely turned over to them. What we also found out was most people who buy cash on the retail side in the truck business are not true cash buyers. They're borrowing the money either through a broker or through a bank that they found online or a credit union. So it gave us an opportunity to grab some of that. And when Kevin and I were talking, he started mentioning everything that JM&A was wanting to do on the truck side because they saw that most dealerships did not do that. I had already talked to Rick Clark about maybe coming to the UTA and doing some of the training like George Papp used to do, both with managers, salespeople, and then introducing more of the back end business. And it just seemed like a great fit. And so they kind of created the position for me to work with the salespeople that they already had in the field and to start talking with some of the bigger dealer groups. We're currently piloting some programs with Rush, MHC, the Larson Group, Vanguard, and the UTC stores through international corporate. And we'll expand on those a little bit more over time, but we wanted to find some partners that used our product and had solid finance people in place where we could start to add more. So we will always be a warranty company, but the thoughts that I had and the thoughts that they had seemed like a perfect marriage. Over time, as everything goes up in cost, your profits are going to get lower and lower on your actual truck sales, especially by percentage of cost. And so adding the back end business is a way for dealers to add profit to the front side of the business where everything doesn't just come from parts and service.
I think you guys just started a program with Taylor & Martin too, didn't you?
Yes, sir. We are doing a warranty with Taylor & Martin. It's something different than anything we've ever done before. They are putting a 30-day warranty on all of the trucks that they sell through auction. That warranty is there from the time of purchase for 30 days out. It gives either dealers that are buying from them or individuals that are buying from them a little bit of coverage. It's a limited warranty, but it gives them some coverage for the time they pick it up and they get it back to they're going to run it or their place. They're going to get it ready for sale to cover the major components for them.
I like that. We've been purchasing some trucks for resale through them, and then, we get notifications on which ones were covered. I guess it shows on the website right away before we buy it.
Yes, sir.
I like that.
That's a heck of a good thing to put on there because, I mean, speaking for myself, I'm typically petrified to buy from auctions, but that would cover.
And that's how the conversation started. Years ago, it seemed like the auction was the way to go. And now there's so many wholesale companies. And so that's one of the ways that we started those conversations was to give the buyer peace of mind.
That's awesome.
Jason, I find that so interesting because I've had several guys in my career say that, the auto industry is 5 to 7 years ahead of the truck industry. And whether you're looking at technology integration or just sales style or, a few of those different things, I think it's a really interesting concept to put basically the warranty sale on the F&I manager. Because that's exactly what happens when you go buy a vehicle. But do you guys see that you get a higher conversion rate or success rate of adding that on? Because I guess a customer, they get their head right on the price for the sales guy. And then they say, this deal's moving forward. And then when you go down to the F&I manager and he puts it in a different light and kind of separates that off of the price as far as a last minute benefit and really gets you there. Do you guys see a higher conversion rate on selling warranty, having F&I do it?
So going back to when I was with Nacarado, our conversion rate went up tremendously. But one thing that I did was I paid my finance manager and my salespeople on every deal. We paid out a percentage and we split it evenly because two parts. I didn't want argument over who sold it, the salesman to say I talked about it or the finance manager to say it wasn't on there. The second side and the place where I think we got the highest uptick was if you try to add these, aftermarket warranties, service contracts, whatever you want to refer to them, they're anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000. If you get that approved through the finance company and then go in and try to add a cost like that, you're going to get a turn down almost every time, or they're going to want 50 or 100% of the money as down payment. What we found is we presented 100% of our retail deals with warranty. The salesperson would talk to the customer about it. Even if the customer had said no at that time, when it went to finance before they submitted it, they added it to the contract. And then we would go with an A, B, and C option when we would present it. We would present, here's no warranty, here's some coverage, and then here's the top of the line coverage. And what you found is that most people would say, okay, I want some coverage. They were being, explained these trucks are as is majority of the time. The third thing that we implemented at that time was there was a sheet that myself or our managers would have to sign, and the customer, if they elected to take it with no warranty at all, we would have to sign off at that time saying the salesperson's talked to you, the finance manager's talked to you, you're letting me know that you don't want warranty, you're buying this truck as is. Two things. On the front end, the bank already knew we were going to put it in there. So when they gave the approval, they knew that cost was there instead of going back and asking. And it let the customer know how important it was, because unlike when you're buying a car or anything else, this truck's their livelihood. And if you drive by every shop in the country, there's a lot of trucks sitting out there. And we all know, we're all in the used truck world. Any truck that we sell, it's no matter how much we do, at some point it's going to break down. It's not only that they lose, days of work, but their house payment still comes in, their car payment still comes in, their wife still got to buy groceries, their kids still need things for school. So just trying to educate the customer how important the back end, that covering this was, because I've not sent many trucks to a shop for under $5,000, and that's even with me working at the dealers. So it gets very expensive.
No, it's very cool. It's very innovative.
Do you offer the gap protection as well?
So National Truck Protection does gap, and we used the National Truck Protection gap when I was with Nacarado. It's another product we sold. If you look, most of your OEM lenders, your Volvo, Packard, Daimler, they offer a gap. The gap that we offer is a little bit cheaper on the cost, and it's a pretty easy item to mark up. When I was at the dealer side, we would put gap on anything that was less than 30% down payment to cover the customer. Our gap insurance cost roughly $700, and we sold it for $1,799 at the dealer level. So, and we just paid the finance manager his percentage off that. It was added income. Gap is an easy protection for banks to say yes to. It's also a great coverage for the customer. You look at a time, right now, truck prices are going up. If someone was to total a truck that they bought 6 months ago with the way trucks have gone up, they are going to need gap insurance, or they're going to have to come out of pocket. Mike, you said it before we started. Trucks have went up another 10% in the last 2 weeks. And so if that's a $50,000 truck, that's $5,000 you're upside down for a product you can buy for $1,500 to $2,000 at most dealerships.
Very true. Very true.
And if it's a new truck, that's $20,000 or $25,000, because they're now, $200,000 to $250,000 for most new trucks.
If I put myself in a customer's shoes, I'd think that's pretty awesome that you guys offer the gap, because talk about some buy-in there. I mean, it gets to me, it would signal that you guys definitely want to get this truck back on the road, talking about covering my total loss.
With National Truck Protection, like I said, what we have seen is the banks are getting tighter. And so we're trying to find more ways to protect the customer. We offer gap. We offer roadside assistance for breakdowns or locking your keys in, running out of fuel. We offer a windshield replacement. We offer a tire replacement, plus the warranties that we've always done. And our warranties go anywhere from 30 days to 3 years. And, off subject to on subject, one thing that we have found through is we want to give the best warranty possible. And for the last 10 years, everything that I had been taught was to get uncapped product with as low of a deductible as possible. And now that I've switched seats into this business and started looking at the data, I'm not sure that that's the best thing for the customer. We found through our data that 97% of customers never reach the cap on the capped products, and a capped product may be $2,000 cheaper on the front end if it's a 2-year warranty. We've also found that going from a $0 or a $350 deductible to a $500 to a $1,000 deductible can bring the cost on the front end of the warranty down by about $1,500. And so we've put some new product out there recently with some of our partners, and we've done some programs with a few of our partners just wanting to test this more thoroughly.
So far, you've been covering one of the questions that we wanted to ask, but is there anything else in the market and change in your approach and what contracts you guys are offering up? You're kind of hit on that, but I didn't know if there was anything else we missed.
Again, some of the non-capped products, like right now, we've got one that we've introduced. It's got a $35,000 aggregate instead of unlimited. Of course, if they blow an engine and it's $50,000, like we've seen some, there's not going to be the coverage, but that is covering most of the repairs that we see, which are more emissions based, turbos, injectors, things like that. You are going to be covered under that aggregate. And so it's an easier way. When the banks have become so tight during COVID, every bank was saying yes, and every warranty was saying yes. So if you were putting these, 3-year, 300,000 mile warranties that were retailing for $12,000, $13,000, the banks were saying yes. Today, the biggest thing we've heard from our partners is that banks are saying no to adding $12,000, $15,000. So we've came back and said, how about a 1 year or 2 year? Because we also realize that most people fail within the first 18 months because they've given all their money as down payment. So let's get them covered for the first part. And we've started a new department. And what this department does is 45 days before your contract ends, they reach out to you and give you the opportunity, because you still have warranty under there, with no additional inspections, to add additional warranty at that time. So we call you now on behalf of the dealer network to let you know your warranty is about to expire. Now, there is some places, like, we don't know how many miles they're putting on it. We're just looking at the time, but we are given, the calls and the opportunities. So a couple of our partners have started doing a 90-day free warranty. We call those partners at 70 days out and offer to extend the warranty for them. And we sell it for whatever they sell it for, and then give the profit back to the partner.
So with what you guys are doing or what you're discovering, what do you feel the future of the back end business is at the dealer level?
I believe, just like with the car dealers, us, maybe when we bought our first car, and especially our parents when they bought their first cars, they did not go in and see a finance manager. They did the deal with their salesman. They shook their hand. They found a way to pay them. We talk about our business being, 5 years, 7 years. When it comes to the back end business, I believe we're 15 to 20 years behind. Depending on the dealer size, if you can get a good finance manager for the new trucks and used trucks, I believe that's the way it's going to go, because our profit margins are getting lower and lower. If you talk to most dealers, they're making the same amount of money on a truck that they sold today, that they sold in 2004, that they sold in 1994, but not the same percentage. And so we have to find a way to come up with other money. Also, with trucks being so expensive, when most of us started in the business, guys could come in with $25,000 to buy a pretty solid used truck. There's not a lot of guys walking around with $60,000 to $70,000 to buy a solid used truck today. So you've got to find finance opportunities on the back end of the business.
That makes sense. On the going back to those service contracts, are they transferable?
The service contracts are transferable. There's different ones depending on which dealer group it's bought through. Some of them there is a stoppage fee and a start fee when it's sold to the other one. Some of them there's a transfer fee, and some of them transfer. Fortunately and unfortunately, we have a whole bunch of different products out there. And so each one's a little bit different, but our local rep can give you more information on that, depending which one you're selling.
So some of us are doing some of the lighter duty units. I guess if I'm working with John Resnick, who's our rep, how light of duty unit or chassis could he go down to before it transfers back to maybe your parent company or out of the National Truck Protection System?
So where we focus mainly is on class 4 to 7 and then 7 and 8 trucks. I'm sure we could find a way. We're working on a deal right now with a limo company, because they are commercial vehicles, where we're doing a little bit of coverage, and we are doing some of the roadside assistance and the windshield program with them. It needs to be a commercial vehicle for us to be able to do it, so. Okay.
Let me ask you this. So if it's not a personal vehicle, but it's a lighter duty, you still might have some options for
Yes,
them.
sir.
Yes. They want to use it for an electrician or something like that, and they're running around with a minivan type product or something like that.
Yep. And another program that we have that I was unaware of, and my rep was at our dealership quite a bit, and we sold a lot of products. I thought I knew most of it, but until I came to this side, there is a product out there for vocational customers. And so if you have guys that, not only the dump trucks, the roll-offs, the mixers, but also if you have farmers or day cabs that are just driving in the city, it's cheaper to get a vocational coverage on, say, a day cab if you're doing under 50,000 or under 60,000 miles a year. Instead of buying the 1 year 100 or 1 year 125 coverage, there's a 1 year 60,000 or a 2 year 100,000 mile coverage. that we classified as vocational. So if you are talking to your reps, they may have brought that up in passing, but you weren't thinking. So if you have dump trucks, roll-offs, mixers, or if you sell a lot of day cabs, that could be a cheaper way for you to go. We're just trying to come up with ways because the banks are saying no more and more on aftermarket products, and we're trying to find ways to combat that with cheaper options. Not cheaper is an awful word, but more affordable options that still have all the coverage of our main offerings.
Yeah, I think that works great for the ag community. You brought that up earlier, even though it's called vocational. It's most of our farmer friends, put on 10 to 15,000 miles a year. So
yes.
They just fit in that niche very, very well. The other thing I've noticed is your process to get a truck approved basically follows along pretty basic inspection stuff, ECM reading and fairly simple process, but maybe you want to hit on that a little bit.
With most of the groups that we're working with today, we take your inspection process when it's through a dealer. There are some exceptions, like if you're wanting an exception for a older truck or a truck that's a little bit higher mileage, but most of the time, whatever inspection the dealer's doing, we will take, and then we just need a clean ECM with that. We don't ask for any additional requirements on the inspection. When I first got in the business, the people wanted to do dynos on them. People wanted oil samples. You had to, do so much stuff. They made it difficult. We try to partner with dealers that we know are selling good product. And so if you're putting your name on it, we're going to trust your inspection.
I was going to say, I remember the old days of trying to find a dyno, number one. Number two,
yes.
pulling an oil analysis on everything and waiting a week or so for
and the buyer's remorse comes in before the truck's ever delivered.
Right.
Exactly.
And you said that you guys are making an initiative to do more sales training for your dealer partners right now. Is that true?
We are. One of the things we spend a lot of our time on is training our reps to understand. And part of the reason for me coming over, and they already had some great people, who knew a lot of this as well, but is understanding the workings of a dealer and the questions to work. Because on the car side, which is our parent company, you'll get buy-in from ownership and buy-in from the finance manager, and it works its way down. Where on our side, our product has traditionally been for the used trucks. And at the OEM level, we all know that used trucks may come, third to sixth in the pecking order. It's parts, service, new trucks, leasing, maybe body shop, all before used trucks, because used trucks have never been a profit center for a lot of OEM dealers. And so our product has historically been a used truck product with the aftermarket warranties. We're doing a lot more with wraps now on new trucks because some of our wraps are cheaper than what the OEM's wrap is, but gives you the same coverage. So we have a few new truck dealers that put our wrap on the time of new trucks, stuff like gap insurance and roadside assistance. Those can be new truck products, but traditionally we've been a used truck product. And so we had to work our way up instead of from top down. So one of the things we're spending a lot of time is training how dealerships work. Not every dealership has a finance manager. Not every dealership pays the same. We'll go to some dealers and they only pay the salespeople on them. Some only pay the finance managers. Some put the warranty, if there's any profit on it, into the profit of the truck. And so we're just trying to work to help streamline the process and make it more uniform amongst the dealers. We've got a couple of new products coming out that are hopefully going to help with this more, or if you're a smaller dealer that doesn't have a finance manager, not going to go into a lot of details about them today, but you'll start hearing more about it, and there'll be a lot at UTA this year in November. We're introducing a virtual F&I. We've got our first two employees start with us the 15th of this month, and they'll be doing F&I for dealerships that don't have F&I. We're starting it with a couple of partners where they can help out when your finance manager is on vacation, or if you don't have a finance manager, and we still give the profit back to you because we want to help sell our product. And there'll be a lot more about that come November. We're piloting it with our first two groups starting August 1st, and our two employees start July 15th.
Well,
yeah, we don't actually have an in-house F&I department either, but John just took us through some training here a little while back, and we got each of the sales members have a login to your site now, and so we can pretty rapidly quote out the service contracts, and it doesn't it keeps things very fluid. I guess we don't have to pass it off. We can log in, and we've kind of minimized the number of offerings that we have just to kind of keep it simplistic. And if somebody wants something beyond that, then we just contact our rep, and John will help figure it out for us. I will say the login side of your portal is very user friendly.
Well, and Steve, thanks for bringing up a couple of things there, and thanks for the good words about John. He is a really smart and really devoted guy. I enjoy talking to him all the time. On the login and all of that, there will also be some finance for places like you that don't have an in-house finance manager in the future. That's one of the things. And then you said something about what he was doing with the training as well.
Yeah, so we had a Teams meeting with him, and since we have multiple locations, we did training all at once. So he just walked us through, how to get on the portal, how to, request the quotes, that kind of thing, and how to see history on quotes that we have made in the past. So we don't lose access to those. The one thing I find is a opportunity, since we have the service side of the business too, is that later on, a year from now, maybe that truck's in our service shop again, but we could re-offer, if they didn't take it the first time, that we could re-offer that service contract again to the same customer. And we have all of his information still in our system from when we sold him the truck.
Did you talk to him about the lost sales opportunity also?
No, sir. I don't recall that.
So the internal team that makes the call at roughly 45 days out, on long-term and 20 days out on short-term contracts, they also have a lost sales department. And so if you turn in your sales each month, they can call them. I would always ask my salespeople to call back their customers, 30, 60 days out and just see how everything's going. And salespeople hate doing that because you're going to get a gripe session. Even if everything's perfect, they're going to hear how loads are down or whatever. But if anything's went wrong with the truck, you're going to hear it. So salespeople were not good about doing that. So we now have a lost sales department that'll call on your behalf of the dealership and sell what products you're offering to them at your pricing. And then it gets turned back over to your dealership if they decide to take it. So they'll call and say, how's your truck running? We just wanted to call you again now that you've had it for a couple of months and see if you'd like to take extended warranty now. And we can do financing on those warranties up to a 1-year warranty. We'll offer financing on when we call them.
Good to know.
You also brought up that if you were to just go through our e-dealer, there are so many different levels of warranty and options that it gets very confusing. One thing that I talked to dealerships about and that we did at Nacarado was pick your 2 or 3 that are your best options and have pricing sheet and information sheets on those for all your salespeople and for yourself. And then if you have the finance manager or somebody that's really good at it, they can get in if they want additional coverages, but offering only a couple of options, because what I found over time is our customers only hear the most coverage and the cheapest price. Right. And so if you talk about a 3-year warranty and a 6-month warranty, and one of them's, $10,000, and one of them's $3,000, he wants a 3-year for $3,000. So that's a good practice to have what y'all implemented with only a few options. It stops a lot of the confusion.
You kind of helped us customize ours too. So we always add the diff and the trans right away to our policies too. So we got our own special rate card with our coverages on it. Again, to your point, instead of trying to do all the add-ons that could come with it, we kind of tried to simplify it and cover more of the unit right away up front.
Well, it sounds like John's doing everything great out there. That's good to hear.
And also, since we have the service branch in our business, you guys have been good to work with. If we can get them back in our shop, that's always our first choice, right? That's very important is to get that parts and service business back from the customer. Outside of our territory, then again, you guys have access to so many other service shops. You can help us find one pretty quickly.
That is the one place that I think we have improved the most over the last 5 years, even before JM&A bought them, well before I went to work for them. was how simple it is for the service managers and service advisors to deal with the repairs. And we hear that quite often. I've been going on the road with the guys, and we'll go in and see the service departments. And I truly believe there's always room for improvements, but we do an excellent job. If guys go and talk to their shops about any of the aftermarket warranties, I think we'll get the gold star when it comes to how easy it is to work on repairs. We've got accounts with a lot of the dealer groups, or we pay the day of. We're not on 45 days or 30-day pay cycles. We can pay you right away if needed. And so it makes it a lot easier to work with us. It's amazing how many of the major dealer groups and the small dealer groups are partners with us. I would tell owner operators and small fleets, if you're out of your area where you're not going to your dealer, one of the good things about them knowing that NTP pays so quickly is they will see your trucks faster if there is a long line compared to, just John Smith walking in the door, right, because they wonder how they're going to get paid from John Smith.
Well, I think that's of a big value to our independent dealers, like you said, smaller dealers. In the past, that's been a struggle to sell over-the-road equipment sometimes because, again, you don't know where they're going to have trouble. You don't know where they're going to end up. So that's a valuable point that you made there. I mean, as an independent dealer, that's a big positive, I guess.
Yes.
To be able to
we would love for them to come back to where they bought it. But, this industry where it's not selling Toyotas, it's selling trucks that, tomorrow it's in Nevada and next day it's in Texas. So
I think I was going to say on training, because I think there's such a huge piece there. And for anybody looking to grow this side of the business, I got to think it is kind of a full circle. I love the idea of having the F&I guy close it with the options. But, since I got out of retail, I mean, you guys it used to be like there was three things of coverage you guys would do. Yeah. But it seems like now you can tailor it just any way you want. But I think to truly be deadly, I like the incentivizing both F&I and sales guys. So there's no argument who actually did it. But you need to have a front level guy that's an expert on the stuff, whether it's expectations.
And our field reps also are available anytime, Scott. And that's one thing I say to them all the time. Most of our deals we know are delivered the last week of the month. And so I ask them, I say, on the third week of the month, call and see what trucks are being delivered. If they don't mind you calling the customer with them to go over the warranty they're purchasing, or if they had questions about the warranty to go over it with them, and we've had some really good successes with a few of our reps that are calling every month and talking to customers on the behalf, because I thought I was pretty good at having the warranties through our dealerships, and we saw it as a part of our business model. And I'm amazed how much I didn't know and still don't know, after being here for 6 months. With the training side, I was hoping to be, and I hate that I missed the June scramble. I will be, or golf tournament. I will be in September. I am going to go to Kenworth for the UTA meeting, because one place I believe I can help with my past history is sitting down with guys in your position or guys at the larger dealer groups and talk about, real life things that we've tried in the past that did or did not work, and hopefully help with the process. I hope that helps us sell more warranties. But if people just have questions about what did you guys do that was successful, what did you do that failed, I think me working in the roles I've had in my past will, that's a benefit that I can give to NTP with our partners that I don't know of a lot of other people in the industry that are now doing what I do, that can have real world talks.
But I'm thinking you got to have a front level guy that he knows the products that you can offer. He can tailor it. You got to have a guy that knows the process, what to do when you are breaking down and how to make sure it gets through, that deal. A guy that knows the tail end if you want to add it to, if you're going to wrap your extended coverage. But then it's nice to take some of the money pressure off, and when you get to the F&I guy, he can sit down and say, hey, here's what we can do. And here's, it's really not that much to have peace of mind. But yes, he closes them. But then in, a month, 2 months, 6 months, the guy has a breakdown. He's not calling F&I. He's calling that sales guy that sold it to him. So you got to have a guy that knows what he's talking about there. He knows how to walk him through the process, not just say, oh, call the number on the contract. And I think if you really dial in on that synergy right there on having an expert pretty much on the front end and an F&I guy that knows what's going on, I mean, that's how you keep that going. And then the overall thing is that guy had a breakdown. He had a good experience. The warranty paid off. He's going to tell people about the good experience he had with a bad issue. And you potentially captured a customer for a buy, another buy, or he's going to go tell his friends and they're going to say, hey, the guys over at XYZ took care of me.
I like the way your head is, because we always talk in our industry about how hard it is to hire young, new talent. And that could be kind of a entry-level position at the dealerships. The guy that maybe helping upload pictures and doing things like that, you could teach him about the warranties. And as he's learning about the trucks and the different engines and the different manufacturers, he could learn that side too. And that could just help build where when he becomes a full-time salesman, he's a better salesman. And you're always training people up at the dealer level, depending on the size of your dealership. If you're an independent that's got 3 employees, you couldn't do that. But these larger dealer groups, the larger OEM dealer groups, they always have trouble finding young talent and training them. That would be a great process to put in.
Do you see some advantages to just adding, kind of almost like what Killer and Martin's doing with their purchase of truck through the sale there? It's included in the price. As an independent dealer and we have our list price online, it could be inclusive with those policies too, correct?
And a couple of things, just, previous real world experience from my past, when Volvo first introduced their CPO warranty, which was a warranty that Volvo dealers can sell, they wanted us as the dealers to include the price on the trucks. The downside to that was the warranty may be, $8,000, and truck paper being such a key, place didn't have something to look where you could take the warranty out. So it would look like your trucks were $8,000 more than everyone else's. And so you have to be careful. But on the flip side, when I first got to Nacarado in the end of 2015, they had sold 3 warranties for 0 profit. And I wanted to put warranties in there because I believe it protects the customer. It cuts down on your policy and it can add profit to your bottom line. And so we started giving away a 90-day warranty on all trucks that qualified, because it got the salespeople to learn about warranties, and it had the customer ask, why is it 90 days? What if I wanted to buy more warranty? So we started to sell more. And in 2017, so 16 was the first year we did that. In 2017, we sold 158 warranties and added almost $220,000 of profit to our bottom line off retail warranty sales. And so just by getting them talking, so from 3 for $0 in 15 to over $200,000 worth of profit and 160 warranties almost. So you're right. It depends what you want to add. I would love for you to put a 2-year warranty on every truck and advertise it that way, but you might not get the calls because the customer's going to compare your price to the other price on the bigger advertising site.
That's a good point. We used to just offer a 30-day with every purchase, but that was at we were, holding the warrant or the service contract, right? Yeah. So if something happened, it would come back to us and it was out of the pocket. So,
yes,
that's where the advantages in the 90-day, where you guys are taking the risk from us as a dealer and holding that and helping us out with that, allowing us to offer that to the customer.
What we did with that 90-day is we hit the profit of the truck with the cost of the warranty. And so it came out of salesman's commission, which also made them want to sell the bigger one, the extended warranty, because then they would not lose, that roughly $1,000, and they would add the profit from the other one they sold.
Good point.
Anything else you'd like to add in there, Jason, that you might not have covered?
You guys may have heard some about Truck IQ. We are piloting it right now with 4 dealer groups and 2 independents. And that is a system that will help with compliance. It keeps everything together. It makes it where the salesperson, the customer, and the manager can see where the deal is in process. We're not an IT department. It's not a CRM. It's just for the process of truck purchasing. If there's a warranty on there or not, it shows what warranty options they have. It shows what their finance options options are. It can give you a qualified approval within 30 minutes. It does not mean you have an approval. It's going off what the customer told you. The bank's still going to look at it. But what it does for the dealership is shows this customer is approved A, B, C, D, that the customer will only see, the terms he got. So so based on all the information you gave us, it's going to take 30% down and your interest rate's going to be 20%, or it's going to take 5% down and your interest rate's going to be 12%. It's a system that we are working on right now with, like I said, a couple of large dealer groups and a couple of independents, just seeing how it works. It's something else that in September, there will be a lot more information at the UTA at Kenworth. I'll have a lot more information on it, and then at UTA we'll be ready to put it out to more dealers. But what we wanted to do was find a few groups that we could work with that would work the kinks out and give us honest feedback, not just say, this doesn't work or this does work. Here's what's good about it. Here's where we need to do some improvements. We've had it live since mid-April, and like I said, our plan is to start pushing it out to more dealers in September. So that's something you will hear a lot more about. We're trying to find ways to help the dealers protect their customers more, to make it a little bit easier to know which banks will allow aftermarket product to be put on there. We're partnering with some banks that, if you're using this product, it's going to show how it affects the difference in the payment. If you go to a car dealer today, if you're buying a new F-150, you may get, my payment is 60 months without a warranty or gap, and it's this number, or I get 63 or 66 months if I add these two products, and so my payment really doesn't go up, but now I have the extra coverages. So we're working on different software like that to help the dealer groups. We really know, I talked about at the start how right now we're in a great time because we're seeing fuel prices go down and spot rates go up, but the last 18 months in our industry has been very tough on the dealers and on us. And so we've been working not just on our product, but what can help the dealers add extra income, add extra protection, cut their policy, and working with the bank some way to get the products, out there where the end users can afford it and can be approved on it.
Well, there's no doubt the trucks that we are going to be seeing turned back in and then reselling are probably going to have quite a bit higher mileage than in the past.
Yes.
We're just seeing a lot of fleets run trucks a little bit longer. Just because of a lot of different reasons, right? But definitely we're seeing the average miles increase. So I think it's very important for each of us to take a look at that for our customers and make sure that they understand whether it's the cost of the payment or they're putting on X number of many miles a year. What does that look like per mile, right? You can make that a lot more sensible by doing just some of the math to help them out and see that bigger picture.
Steve, to that point, we just did a deal this month with a larger fleet through a local Nashville dealer. They were keeping their trucks. They always kept them 4 years. And so their new warranty went to 4 years. They decided to keep them 5 years. So 50 trucks we added a 1-year warranty to. We ran it through the dealer with all the dealer's profit and everything on there. So the dealer made profit on trucks that they sold 4 years ago. They got myself, Kevin, and our local rep here, Vince, all got involved with the dealer group and went to see the customer together, presented some different options. So we would love to work with, if you do have fleets that are keeping their trucks longer and their warranty's running out. The warranty on these trucks runs out between October and January on those 50 trucks. So they're putting all the warranty on now that is a wrap, and it won't start until the factory warranty runs out. But that way they have the coverage in case some of them hit higher mileages. We were just looking again at the time, and we didn't have to do any additional inspections on those because there's still factory warranty left on them. So it was very simple for the fleet.
That's awesome. Holy.
Well, Jason, a good sales point there is that a transferable warranty?
That will be a transferable warranty.
Okay, so they go to market and they still have a little bit of warranty.
Same way that companies will trade in trucks when they have 6 months or 3 months left, and it's good for us used truck guys because we know there's some coverage. It'll be the same way on these.
Very cool.
Awesome. Well, if there's nothing else, thank you, Jason, for taking the time to come on here. Excited to hear what you guys have rolling out in, I think you said November or October, and one of those dates. But definitely looking forward to seeing more about that.
You'll start to see more of it coming out. And then in November, at the UTA, our booth is going to be focused on a lot of the stuff I've alluded to for the future, to help. We will always, our number one priority is selling warranty and service contracts, but we're trying to find some additional ways to help the dealer groups and the independents.
Most importantly, above all this, how's your handicap with this new role?
My golf is pretty good right now. I had a 5-month hiatus where I played a lot of golf and I try to finish all my meetings about 3:30 now, where I can play from, get out the golf course about 4:30 in the afternoon. So although boat season's coming in, it'll slow it down, but my golf game's the best it's been in a long time, but also has something to do with I'm healthy for the first time in years. My back's not bothering me like it has previously. So, knock on wood, but the golf game's pretty good.
Awesome.
Well, thanks for taking time to join us on the podcast today. And also, thank you for you guys' participation and sponsorship in the UTA and the different events that go on throughout the year. So, give you guys a big shout out for that too.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Rick has always been awesome about all that and will continue to be, and we really appreciate you guys taking the time and everything y'all do. And I really appreciate this because I wanted, I told Mike whenever he had asked me about it, I said I wanted to give a little bit of time before I really jumped out there because I wanted to know as much about the products and stuff as possible. I had always supported it and sold the product, but I wanted to make sure, when I get asked the random questions, I could answer it and hopefully help the dealers all, do just a little bit more to protect their customers. So thank you guys for the time.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a great day, guys.
You as well.
I want to remind everyone to go to uta.org. And while you're there, check out the events page. Coming up September 10th, we have Top Golf. This event includes access to the Kenworth plant and the PACCAR Tech Center. And check this out. So a closed course driving experience. Now this has limited seats. So if you're interested, sign up sooner than later. We have the 3rd annual T-Walk fishing event coming up September 29th. That includes a Peterbilt plant tour. And as always, check out the sponsorship and opportunities. Also, board elections are coming up. Stay tuned for more information on that. Thanks for tuning in to the podcast. Have an awesome week.